So my name is Orlando Mesa. This is my homework for the week, coach interview, and so I'm gonna be uh, interviewing a coach here. So so go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Gilbert Mesa.
What are some of your current or most recent coaching positions that you've held?
Well, actually, I was a coach at Clifton High School for 36 years and 2 years at Fort Thomas High School. Small school, small area, small school, 1A class.
And what are some of your coaching history and accomplishments that you've had?
Well, I've been pretty lucky. I've been 3 Hall of Famers. I have been 4-time Coach of the Year. And also lucky enough to have been named baseball field after my name, Trojan Field, Gilbert Mesa, John Lujan, Trojan Field. That was one of my greatest accomplishments that I've had.
How many wins do you think you've had in your coaching position?
I was honored for having 300 victories.
Okay. So we'll go on to the next question here. So what are some of your favorite coaching moments or memories? And or go ahead and answer that first.
Well, some of my favorite moments were I've been 6 times state playoff. 4 of them were the state finals. I have 300 victories in my career. I've also been lucky enough to have been honored by the AIA for a lifetime pass for a game of baseball. And the main thing that I've done, and which I'm really proud, is having a positive impact on our young baseball players.
So what would you say were some of your most difficult coaching moments or incidents you faced throughout those 38 years or 30 plus years of coaching?
Well, you gotta remember, we're in a small community. And one of the things that I have really hard time having was having to cut ball players. I never did want to cut ball players, but I had to. I never did like that idea. Also, at a state playoff, even though you want to win the game, at one of the situations, I did not play all my players, and it kind of hurts me a little bit. I should have hopefully let my second team play, but which I kind of go back into time, and I wish I would have been able to have played everybody at the state playoffs. Those are some of the regrets that I've had during my baseball career.
All right. So the next question: what potential role and impact can coaches have in young people's lives?
Well, coaches have a great impact. You know, they're the future. They're almost like a father figure. They can open up a career for you, education-wise. They're just like reacting with you in your youth, and they also remember they're going to be our future. So you're a big part of big impact on our players.
All right. So the next one is, this is definitely something for you to think about since you've been coaching for such a long time. But how do you think coaching has changed over time, especially considering generational change, and how have you adapted as a coach to these changes?
Well, it's real hard. I'm an old-fashioned coach. You know, baseball players nowadays are faster, quicker, stronger. And you got to be able to adjust to that type of player that you have. And it's been hard because we don't do things like we used to. Now it's all mostly technology-wise. You know, you can switch your defense and offense to different positions, which kind of takes away from my style of baseball. But you have to adjust, and the way of adjusting is by being, up with all the drills that they're doing, all the communication they're doing, all the new techniques that you have to use. But it all depends on what type of team you want. That makes a big difference in baseball.
All right. So what kind of relationship do you try and foster with your athletes, and how do you motivate different personalities?
Well, first of all, you have to communicate, okay? And you're not really friends, you're a coach, almost like a father. And when you have different personalities, that's when you have a difficult time as coaches. You have to find that little aspect on how to get their respect, you get your respect on your side, and you gotta work. Everybody's different. So you have to do different things in a different way. You can teach the same thing, but teach it in a different way. Use different terminology that would fit that player, and make it as simple as possible, and also make it fun.
Cool. How would you describe your own leadership, coaching methods, and styles? And in what ways does your personality impact the way you coach?
Well, my personality, I'm a quiet coach. I don't like to make a lot of noise. It's mostly on working hard at practice. I'm a coach that like to have a small game. I don't like to hit home runs. I would like to put a lot of pressure on their defense, put the ball in play. But you gotta have players that can do that. Okay, so it all depends what you have in front of you to be what type of coach you're gonna be. That makes a big difference. And also main thing, communication and make the game simple.
Nice. All right. How do you prepare, plan, and organize for practices and competitions? And why do you think this is important?
It's like a regular educator. You have to have a lesson plan. You have to find out your weakness of your team and the strong points of your team. When you have weaknesses, you have to work at that a little bit harder to get ready to prepare for the next game. You have to give a lot of game situations, make the game as simple as possible, but also get ready for your opponent. And as a coach, your job is to get him prepared to be able to do that job on the field.
All right. So this next question, since we do come from a small area where everybody kind of knows everybody, right? And that's where you coach, was a small school, a small community. So how do you create positive relationships with parents, administrators, fellow coaches, and other stakeholders? Since it's such a small community and everybody knows one another, how do you adapt to that with families and parents and stuff like that, coaching parents?
Actually, I'm pretty lucky that I'm in a small area because the parents, generation by generation, the ball players that play for you more than once or twice, their brothers or sisters. And one thing, again, I told you earlier, you have to have communication. You also have to be a positive role model. You have to be able to send out schedules, practice schedules, guidelines, team guidelines for the kids and the students, also the parents. And also remember that whatever you put out in front, you have to follow through. You just can't say, okay, I'm gonna do this and not do it, especially in a small community. You have to follow through so they can get your respect as a coach. And that's how you earn the respect of your players and community and administrators.
All right. So these next questions, I think, kind of go hand in hand together. So I'll just have you answer both at the same time. In what ways do you create an environment of belonging for all types of athletes, considering issues of race, gender, sexual orientation, religion? And within that, why should coaches be especially knowledgeable about Title IX?
Well, again, being in a small community, I was lucky enough to have already had played 4 girls during my baseball career before Title IX was actually installed or made into an amendment. I had 4 girls that played for me. We treated them the same as the boys. They did the same drills, they did the same guidelines, they did the same codes that we had, same terminology. So even though they were girls, they're still part of a team, and you actually don't look at them as a different gender. They're just part of a team, and they all play together as a team and make it into a family situation.
Could you expand a little bit on why you had to have, or why there were girls joining your baseball team at that time?
Well, actually, some of them were because of not enough numbers. We had a small number of ball players, so some of the girls came and signed up. Another thing was that we did not have a softball program. So actually, some of the girls that I did have were actually starters, and they made a difference in our team because they made friends with the players, they communicated with different schools, and it made our community stronger because it got more people to come in and get involved in our program. And that's the main key, get them involved and make it a stronger community.
Okay. What are some effective and ineffective approaches to discipline?
Well, this one is kind of strange because I figured if you had a starter and you had a kid that was not starting because of discipline problems maybe or whatever, then the kid that was more disciplined, he probably took more strikes or took more grounders. The kid that was disciplined that got into a little bit of trouble, instead of just running, what you need to do, you made him carry them back to the buses, to pick up the equipment, just kind of make them realize that, you have to follow guidelines, because in life, you have to follow guidelines, and there have to be consequences about that. So you need to talk to them to what they did wrong, and hopefully change them around so they can be even with the rest of the team.
What advice can you share for someone who wants to start a career in coaching? So I know you have 2 sons right now who have, coached a little bit of basketball, their kids in basketball. You have another son who coaches their son in baseball, Little League right now. So what kind of advice would you want to share for someone who wants to be, go into coaching as a profession?
Well, before I answer that question, I was lucky enough to have one of my kids. I coached one of my ball kids on all sports, so that made me a great honor to have my kids play under me. Also, as young coaches, main thing, you need to know the game. You need to know how to communicate, okay? You have to know to put priorities on education, first of all. Also, prepare them themselves for life, okay? Not just baseball. Make it simple, make it fun, okay? You are going to have ups and downs in baseball. That's baseball. But it's also going to make you a stronger person as a coach. And that's what you have to relate. You have to relate that baseball is the best game in the world, but you have to work at it. And you also have to understand the game. And like anything else, you have to know it first. You make it simple.
Good.